welcome to the Knot. This is definitely the show that we're going to be doing, starting it up, fresh start, fresh tape. Basically, this episode, I will in this case, sort of be the ambassador of what the Knot and the whole industry that is whatever going to happen, you know. And I'm going to go into deeper detail with that later. But I just wanted to start out, do a quick first beginners podcast, make sure the mic is good. So it's really going to just be real short and sweet. And one little quick tidbit of something interesting. Oh snap, I'm getting a call right now. I'm going to accept. Yo, what's up? How's it going, man? I'm on the podcast right now. I'm doing one right now. I can just switch you in right now. Just like we can start it up. Like I can send you the link. Here's a link right here to show you that this is exactly what I was doing before you even came on. I was trying to call you before, but this is a link. Yeah.
Like somebody's offering me another job, so
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just kind of all over the place right now. But yeah, is it on Zoom?
Um. No, it's not on Zoom. But you want to get on the Zoom?
I would have to re-download it, so I can real quick.
Okay. Well, you don't have to do anything right now. It's going straight through right now. Like, all I gotta do is just switch the audio on.
Okay.
Cause this right here is really just like a test. You know.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know your volume's a little bit low.
Yeah, I will turn myself up. I'm just yeah, I'm gonna turn myself up, right? You'll be able to hear me in a little bit. Hold on, let me do that right now while we're on the phone, so that way you can just fix that real quick.
I think if I should get in my car or just go to my snarl.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually getting the whip.
So now, how loud is my voice?
Yeah, you sound like you're on the phone now.
Huh?
Yeah, you sound like you're actually on the phone.
It actually sounds loud and clear.
Yeah.
What about now?
Talk a little bit.
Does it sound loud and clear now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So now we got it sounding correct. I got the sound. But this is what this first whole podcast was going to be. I hope like anybody who's listening is just like they're catching on and they're like, "Yo, what's going on?" But I got to see how your sound is. Can you talk right now? Just say hello.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say a bunch of random shit.
All right. So you're with us right now live. You're on here live. Let me do something real quick.
Okay, I'm on.
Yeah. So yeah, it's everything is coming through. That's pretty cool that it can do that. So I go by 7. Yo.
My
So
bad, I think it cut out.
I don't know, like I can still hear you, bro.
Yeah, I can still hear you.
All right, so I'm about to try to do something real quick. I'm gonna see if this works. Are you able to hear that?
I didn't hear anything.
All right. Did you hear anything?
No.
Okay, so that sound is not going through to this side, but that's okay. I can. It's all right. You may not be able to hear the extra sounds, but you'll be able to hear them in the post edit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop this. I'm gonna leave this out. I'm gonna be like, hey, well, we gotta say one quick interesting story right now. So, if you look at the topics that you sent yesterday, right?
Yeah.
What is the most important one that you want to bring up?
Shit. I mean, I was about to tell you yesterday, they all kind of go hand in hand with each other, but like they all kind of have to do with the same big thing, you know?
I know because
But
we're talking about GMO and bioengineering and like
I just looked at that one. I was about to say that's a good one because you still eat meat and stuff, and I haven't been for a while, so that'd be kind of a good one.
so. What's new and interesting about that is something that's happening. People don't even know, and they're just not aware, and they're just being sucked in.
Yeah, a majority of the food in the um, a majority of the food in the supermarkets and stores that they sell are full of GMO stuff that are it is what it's called. It's genetically modified, and it's the genetically modified food. When you eat that, it's gonna genetically modify your DNA, and a lot of people like to ignore it because they like to think that it's just a new way of making food and making things taste better and look better and whatnot, but they're kind of blind to what's really going on.
I think so too. I think that the real issue is we want to do and be so efficient in society nowadays that we're willing to accept and tolerate um, these convergent type behaviors that have nothing to do with reality. You know, and then it feels like, or it seems like, everybody's getting force fed this all down their throat with these genetically modified, you know, whatever new organisms they're making that are getting inside the human body and then creating all these different kinds of tumors. Like, I don't know if you look on your Snap, but there's like this Snapchat and it shows like all these people from Brazil that have all these really crazy deformities that is only like one or two per like 15 million in the world. So it's very rare. And just seeing how these people are still walking around, like people just like, it's crazy, man. It's really crazy. Like how it really is. Like how like you can see how deformed these people are. And they're like smiling and talking about their life and their obstacles and everything. It's crazy. It just makes you think.
Yes.
It makes you wonder, like, if you live close to a nuclear plant and then you start having babies that have like 6 arms and 3 eyes, like, you gotta know there's something to do with
Yeah,
being
something
close to that.
going.
Like there was,
And
did you ever watch that? It was like a documentary about DuPont. Have you heard about that one? You should look that up, man. It's a really good one.
I don't think I've heard of it.
It was just basically talking about how they knew that they were dumping in the water, and basically it was causing people to get sick and die, and they settled like lot of, I don't know, like 1,500 cases, and there's some people who still haven't got paid back, because they didn't file or something within a certain time. It's crazy, man. It's crazy how like they knew what was going on, and like that's why I use cast iron, because like the DuPont ones, they have like this Teflon stuff on there or Cephalon, whatever it is. I don't know exactly what I don't remember the exact name of it, but if it has that in there, that means it has that chemical. And then if you cook it if you let it get too hot, it'll start sending these cancerous chemicals inside of you. that you'll be cooking inside your food, and over time it can build up. I mean, it doesn't happen to everybody. Not everybody is affected by it, but it's still
Yeah.
there. It still can be associated to that. So
I
I
hadn't
use a
even heard
cast
of
iron.
I hadn't heard of the skillets and everything. I didn't even think about that. That's something that I didn't even know. That's right in front of my face that I didn't even notice. That I didn't even think about. But
Yeah, man. Look at
I
it,
think,
man. You could California has a whole bunch of like. Think about it. They'll put the sign on which one has that inside of there to let you know that. Like it'll be like, hey, this pan can cause cancers or infertility or some kind of crazy. It'll just say it on there, and then I see people just going up and buying it. I'm like, what? You can read this thing right here. You still buy it. They're like, oh, it's just a pan. No, it's like
yeah,
another. It's like another government chemical that they're just trying to vaporize in the air.
yeah.
You know.
I've been noticing everything I buy because I've been real conscious about like the food I've eaten and stuff. I look on the back of stuff that on the front of it, it looks healthy. It says it has all kind of antioxidants, vitamin C, all this stuff is super good for you. And then you look on the back, the main ingredient in like these drinks and stuff is like high fructose corn syrup, all these acids and stuff, and like preservatives and not even the preservatives. It's like I'll look on the back of like foods and it says pure boldly, like this contains bioengineered food ingredients, and people don't even like even me for the longest time didn't take like 2 seconds to just look at the back of something and see if it's natural, organic, or like full of just all kinds of stuff.
You know, it's so crazy, like, cause you really don't even think about it until you realize. I was like, why does this even have this on here? So it just made me start researching on like even skillets. It's just like what I really want to do, but I know like my girl, she probably doesn't want to do that. Is like find a cabin like out in the woods and like build like an electric helicopter or some kind of electric thing, so that way I could be there during the day, and if I need to go to the city or anything like that, I can just zip out there because I'm gonna have everything solar powered. Like I know the end is coming, man. I know there's gonna be a time where you got to be a prepper, man. Like, and I got a whole YouTube playlist. It's called Prepper's Life. It's just like what you have to have, So I got my shotgun. You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest. That's gonna be the biggest deterrent to threats to me when it starts coming time to that, because that's what my whole goal is right now. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to become successful at this. Maybe not at the podcast, but at the brand of what we're trying to bring up, and be like a voice. Like people like bring us to like these events, and we just be talking like, yeah, this is happening, man. We're looking. We got our ears to the ground, and we're hearing what's coming, and we're trying to tell y'all before it happens, because there's truth out there, real certified truth.
Yeah,
I,
facts.
and that's all you got to do. You got to just focus on like, okay, what what is this podcast going to bring to the table, and how are we going to educate people who are in need of knowledge? So, what do you think? How are you going to go about that?
Honestly, I'm gonna speak my mind even when I feel like I've noticed when I'm around a group of friends or something, like there's so much I want to say, but there's very little that I do say just because I know that the mindsets and everything these people have, they're not gonna even really fully understand what I'm saying. So like I feel like you can lead someone to knowledge, but you can't make them think. Like like I can sit here and tell everyone on this podcast a whole list of things going on in the world right now that are like the reality of what's going on, other than what people think's going on. And people would have all kinds of different opinions about it. And there'd be some people who just don't even listen to it altogether because they're so their minds are so like dulled down to just be focused on this on all this materialistic stuff and like third dimensional stuff that just they're so distracted that doesn't even matter. Because whenever that time comes, like you said, the end times, when shit really hits the fan, all this stuff that everyone's focused on, they're not gonna be focused on it at all whatsoever. So I feel like as time goes on, the more information we can lead people for knowledge, but we can't make them think. So I feel like the more knowledge we put out, and the more time that goes by, and people hearing our information, if they can't fully understand it at first, hopefully they at least take it in, and then whenever they go about their lives and the way they see things, hopefully they'll start to learn for themselves.
I got you, man. I mean, I just feel like that's where it has to be. That's where we have to understand what's going on, because if we don't focus on this reality that people out there are trying to do what they can to undermine reality, man. Like, you got to think about it. They're really trying to tell people, like, hey, don't believe what's real anymore. Believe what we tell you what's real. And then that will be what is real for you. That will be something for you to have to pay attention to. And I'm like, no. I'll be like, okay, you want to be that way. You want to think and try to do all this other social enabled behavior type stuff and try to be like, well, this is herd mentality and we can all just act this way. I'm like, nah, that's not how it works. It works like this. It works like this is reality. When you have a coin and you're at the top of a hill or something like that, or you're at some high cliff and you'd say, like, I'm gonna let this coin just drop down and just let it go down. What's exactly gonna happen as soon as you let go of it? Gravity is gonna happen. And then there's just certain things about reality that we cannot deny. And we're trying to deny that. So when people try to tell me to deny reality, I just say something absurd. Very absurd. You know, like, oh, I'm gonna say this absurd thing to your absurd lifestyle. You know what I mean? And not as an insult, but it is absurd to try to normalize something that is not productive. You know, okay, yeah, it helps the mind out. It's cool for the mind. Okay. Like, if they just went ahead and said that and openly said, yes, we choose to be this way, then I would just be cool, like, okay. But if you try to tell me you're born that way, if you tell me that you don't actively every day resist your own natural human genetic predisposition, like, so if you were born a certain way, you can't tell me that. You have to know. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's absurd. And not to insult somebody who has mental health issues, but we have to come to a common understanding that, wait a second now, we got to do things within reality. So I just wanted to just talk about that. I don't know how that from bioengineering got into that, but I feel like a lot of this behavior has came out because of all of the when they started adding the preservatives inside of the foods. You know, like in European countries, there's not a lot. It's not preservatives like the same kind of preservatives that they have over here in the United States. So, like, that's another thing. Like, I grew up, because I grew up eating their food over there. Of course, everybody's trying to make money some kind of way. So they got preservatives that can cause issues wherever you go. But it's so interesting that they know this negative effect of certain things, and they're still putting it in the food. So the only way that you can do anything now is figure out how to grow your own food.
For real.
Like, how do you hunt? How do you raise cattle? How do you do these things? And, like, that's what I want to do. I want to own enough land to do that. And then what I want to do is, even on my own land, I'm going to have a secret building built. And nobody's going to know where it's at. And I'm going to be digging deep under the ground. Like, I'm going to do whatever I want to do on the land, and I'm going to make it. And it's going to look like nothing is there. It's going to look like an old shack. But it's going to be a whole haven for when the end time comes, so that people can come and populate. So we can all be like, yeah, we got to go out and it's gonna teach people like survival skills. But the thing about it is, everybody's gonna know, like, if you're about this crew, if you're about this, man, in those end times, you know that everybody's gonna be coming after you. You're going to be an elite. You're gonna be elite, yeah.
And that's the whole thing about all this is I know the more people I spread this information to, and the more I get my message out there and everything, the harder they're gonna try to make things on me, because they don't want this like people to know these things, even though it's right in front of their face. It's just like, yeah, bro, I get what you're saying, but I mean, I feel like out of all that's happened, like with these vaccines, all this crazy stuff going on, the fact that me and you are still here talking to each other on the phone right now, conscious enough to just sit back and look at all this and just sit back and watch, even though me and you are probably going through some stuff, like me and you personally, we're probably dealing with some stuff with the way everything going on in the world right now is, like, it might be interfering with us a little bit, but the fact that we can sit back and see everything for at least like some truth about what's really behind it and everything, you know, like the bigger picture, that tells me like we'll succeed with this, because like, you know, since we still have time here and we're not stuck yet, that's enough proof in itself. It just, you know.
I dig it, man, because the fact that we can say something right now, that means that somebody can hear. And if somebody can hear, that means that somebody can act. And if somebody can act, that means somebody has changed. And that is probably the most important thing. That what we're trying to do, and I get what you're trying to do, and I see it's noble, and I see that it's a righteous thing to do, man. And I hope the best. I hope the best for this endeavor. I hope the best for when those times come, and then this information is out there, and then we have to have this information set up on a whole secret server, and we're sending out this signal underground. You know, that's what I want to be able to do. I want to start getting into the CB radio and sending out radio signals, and then being like, I got this show on the podcast too. For anybody else, if you have any friends from anywhere else in the world to listen, we're learning how to have our own satellite feed. We're learning how to have our own, we're going to do it on our own, so that when the times come, and the end times come, we have like our own satellite up there, able to do something. It may not be as many as everybody else, but we have something up there that can defend itself, So, like, if anybody's ready to start building and start setting up, like, and donating to the cause, you can start doing that ASAP. You just contact one of us on here, and we'll definitely give you the information.
You know who Alex Jones is?
Yeah.
Yeah, bro, he's been deplatformed from. He's pretty much a good example of exactly what we're talking about. He's been deplatformed on literally every single platform, and like he's went through so much to. He's got like his own websites. I don't know if it's he helps on like underground like radio stations and stuff.
Yeah.
And promotes his websites like on band.video.
Yeah.
He's got his own website that he constantly has to keep like putting up and everything, because they keep taking him down. But he's just out there like spreading so much information. And like the thing is he's not like they're probably listening to us right now. But the thing about him is like it blew my mind when I saw that it was like so many years ago, and the fact that he's still around, still doing this stuff, and I haven't taken him out. Because have you heard of the Bohemian Grove?
I heard about that.
Yeah, he snuck into the Bohemian Grove, and there was I can't remember his name, but somebody with millions, like hundreds of millions on the network. He walked straight up to him face to face and told him his name and told him that he snuck into the Bohemian Grove and was like confronting him for being in a ritual and all kinds of stuff. And like, but yeah, bro, he's doing website and everything, getting that information out there. But what I was getting at with that is like the high up people like in the government and whatnot, they know exactly who he is. But the good thing about him is he's like, I feel like he's found some people that are like in the system that I wouldn't say are like good, but they're not like all the way bad, and that's how he's pulling some strings, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I listen. I used to listen to him for hours and hours, and I still do. He has a lot of good information. Well, I just feel like he's not calling for anybody to start like working on, you know, for this type of people, for these kind of preppers to have their own satellite systems. It's just nothing like right now. We still have to like use another manufacturer. We don't have our own stuff out there, so like we need to start getting that stuff together now. Start developing that. Create a new task force and be like, hey, you can't stop us. You know, like we're gonna use technology. You know, the government is gonna want to have to know something, and like of course. I will have like the most strictest like if say for instance really actually happens like we have a facility, man, and we're actually launching satellites in space, you know. Like imagine we have that. Imagine if we really do that, yo. And then we have like some technology that we have and the government like I was watching this thing, man. I was watching this show on I don't know what the name of the show was, but it was a show on TV. I forgot the name of it, but this is what happened. Like, this guy was so far ahead and so well off that the way to stop the person from succeeding in life, the government came in and bought out what he was making and took his idea and took it from him because he was so mission critical. It could change the world. Unlike they were basically showing in the show like this could happen. Like, you know, you can be a civilian and you can be that smart and you can be that close. So you even have to be afraid of your own government if your technology becomes far advanced. So at the same time, we got to have like a gentlemanly society of strangers that are working for the same cause. So we have to like have like I'm not trying to say have some kind of guidelines, but we got to have some kind of foundation of loyalty, you know, fidelity to like, okay, do you really believe in this? And these are the 5 things, you know. Like, you have to openly say there's 2 genders, you know, something silly like that. But at the same time, it's like, it's an important thing. Because wouldn't that be cool just to start up something, yo? Like, just to really just start up a whole set, you know, like a whole set of whatever. And then everybody is like acknowledging, yeah, this is what we stand by. Just imagine if that happens, yo. What would you do? Like, how would you respond to the change in reality?
Shit. I don't know, bro. I feel like with I can't believe the vaccines and everything are already here. Like, I knew it was coming whenever COVID. Like, honestly, when I first saw anything about the coronavirus ever, it was like I was walking out of the house to leave, and I saw something pulled up on a TV of some dude in like a hazmat suit going through an office building, looks like telemarketers or something, just sitting there at their desks, like wearing nice clothes, no mask, no nothing, and this dude's just coming through, spraying chemicals out of his huge ass hose, just filling up the room, and they're like, yeah, it's so serious, the coronavirus and everything. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw that, I was aside from like but yeah, the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, this is just gonna be some. I thought it was just gonna be like the next, like Ebola thing. Like it comes up, it disappears, this and that. But as time went on, I realized like all this information I've known since a little kid has. It's starting to it's happening now. Like it's something I always thought. Like I was told since a little kid. It's like, yo, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen in your lifetime and everything. I'm thinking it's gonna happen way long down the road, But little
I
did
know,
I know,
man.
a few years later, we already got coronavirus, we already got lockdowns, we already got the whole world being locked down, we already have the whole world getting vaccinated, and like the fact that it's honestly crazy, bro, how far they have came in such a honestly a very very little amount of time. It's like they've been planning this stuff for a very long time, but the amount like I want to say they're fully successful though, because even though there is thousands and hundreds of thousands and like millions even of people getting vaccinated, there's also millions of people waking up to the truth.
Yeah.
And like maybe not fully, but at least be just like what I call like a bot and just go with the flow and just get the shot, not even thinking what's in it, and get their DNA and everything, their genetics and everything messed with, or they can like take a step back, take a second look at it, which is what a lot of people are doing. And it kind of took all this stuff for that to happen, because I've been trying to get this information to people for years, but it's kind of took something that changes the whole world for people to believe.
Yeah.
It's no longer me just warning them. It's like the stuff I've been warning them about is happening right now.
They're experiencing it.
Yeah, and it's just kind of crazy to me how I was chilling with some friends the other day, and my friend David's girl was like, "Did you see what Biden said on the news last night?" I was like, "No, I don't watch the news." And she was like, "He said that he'll give any American citizen a day off work and $100 to get the vaccine." And she said that the rates of the vaccine were going up to like so much, and like at that point right there, I really had nothing. Like, it's such a tragic thing, but at the time, I really had nothing else to do besides like just sit back and like not really laugh at it, but just like, damn, like, you know, like it baffles me that like me and you, we know with what we know, we don't know exactly what the vaccine is, but we know somewhat of what it will do to us and what they're trying to do with the vaccine. So the fact that there's people out there who are even somewhat skeptical about it, and yet they'll take one day off work and $100 to basically change their life forever, and to like be a product of the government. They're getting $100 and one day off work to be a product, a branded product of the government for the rest of their life. And it's like, it just blows my mind, because if they didn't stay off work that day, most adults would make at least 100 or more in one day of work. So they're basically giving up one day of work to become a product of the government. And the fact that it takes that little for people to get vaccinated, it's just kind of like, dang, they really have dumbed down.
Yeah, it shows how little they value first. That's what I'm saying. Like, they value money that much. They value that little amount of money because they're not making enough. And just a little $100 more is just like, oh, that's enough. And that's the only reason why people even get put in these situations, because they feel like, oh, I don't got nowhere else to go and I have nothing else I can do. So if I try to do anything, I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose out big. And I think that when people feel that way, they end up losing out big regardless. Because what do you gain if you're taking your steps and you're moving based off of current events and not off of who you are? And I think that's the difference. Like, you always been yourself. You always been who you are. And that's really hard to find in people, because a lot of people, for some reason, like to be somebody else. And they don't know how to be themselves. So that's a good congratulatory feature about what I've seen develop in you, even from when you were younger, man. Back in the days, we were just acting like little hoodlums, you know. But now, but the whole time we always saw the light, you know. We all saw the light. We all knew, yo, bro, something's going on that we don't see. We can't smell, we can't taste, but it's all around us.
Yeah.
And the only way that you can tell the difference is if you real or if you fake. And if you fake, you won't be able to tell the difference. You'll be a fish flopping You know, you like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like it's crazy, bro. It's like they're doing literally everything in their power to keep people asleep, bro. It's like I thought the GMO, like what do you think got me to be? Because I used to think the same thing about the whole vegan thing. I was like, because you know me, back when I lived up there, I ate nothing but steak, chicken, any kind of meat all day, every day, like nothing but that. And like and I used to think when I saw vegans and stuff, I was like, man, they're trying to manipulate people and they're trying to like, it didn't seem right. But then the whole reason I wanted to stop eating meat at first was because of all the GMO and bioengineered ingredients and stuff that's in the meat. But then, but then I realized that people say they're vegans and whatnot, but they have GMO.
Yeah, I know.
And they think they're healthy because they're like, yeah, I drink water every day. If you're drinking tap water, that's got all these metals in it, and like what they don't realize is like, and the people who's like, I don't want to like label anyone as like, but it's like the people who believe pretty much, I'll say anything the government tells them pretty much is like, I've seriously had someone, an adult, when I was like way younger even, like a few years ago, I told him, I was talking about fluoride in sink water, and he was trying to legitimately defend that fluoride in sink water is like good for you and healthy and all this other stuff.
Think about the amalgam when they do the fillings in your mouth, the amalgam, and how, like, say for instance, if you ever got a filling in your mouth and that metal they put inside of you, I guess it can. I don't know, but I did read about neurotoxins or some kind of negative effect on the brain. It can cause some kind of negative effect in a certain amount of people. And I remember I went to the doctor, I went to the dentist, and I said, yeah, what about the amalgam? I want to get silver instead of amalgam. He was like, oh, no, don't worry about that. It's not, like, that's what they told you. That's what the dentist told me. Don't worry about that. I was like, oh, snap. That's crazy, yo.
And they really put fluoride. They like just the original, just straight up chemical fluoride. I've noticed as I got older. When you go to the dentist as a little kid, after they clean your teeth real good and everything with all that fluoride toothpaste and whatnot, they literally scoop up some fluoride on a cotton swab or something and just rub it all in your gums and teeth, and they leave it in your mouth when you leave. Is the crazy part. And I noticed when I got older, when I heard them call it fluoride, the first time I heard them call it that is, I'm pretty sure when I was like 17 or 18, they're like I'm pretty sure you can decide if you want it. And I was like, I don't want that. Like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm not taking that fluoride. But bro, what I've kind of put together, even kind of recently, is I've heard of I've known that all kinds of metals and all this other stuff is in like water and food, but what got to me is I'm like, why is it certain kinds of metals? Like, what the hell could that possibly do to our bodies? But then I thought about, I've just been connecting the dots, bro, for so long. And it's like, there's if you can research this, there's thousands and probably way more than thousands, but all over the world, where they're putting up new towers for cell phone towers and stuff, like especially these 5G towers. There's thousands and thousands of birds, like mass amounts of birds dying, and they keep trying to put it off as some bird disease or this, that, but no, it's the birds flying through the electromagnetic frequencies that are in the sky, and that's the biggest thing I feel like is people really, they're just like, oh yeah, it's Wi-Fi, my phone's picking up on a signal. Yeah, it's picking up on it. And they don't, the thing is, some of them can't even think twice. But I'm telling people they need to think twice. Because, yeah, it's just a signal that comes into your phone. But think about what that actually is. I'm holding my phone in my hand right now. There's no possible way I should be able to talk to you hours away and all this stuff. But there's something we can't even see with our eyes that's interacting through the air and space right now to connect me to you through wireless technology and all this other stuff. And people think that, oh yeah, it's just going to our phone. Like, that stuff is everywhere throughout the air and everything. And like, when you got all those metals inside you and in your brain and everything, it just makes them, like, I think you can see the fit in that.